So today we're joined by Trina Swanson, our DFL endorsed congressional candidate from Minnesota's Fighting 8th District. Trina has 25 years of public service experience. She served our country in three different countries, three foreign countries. She spent 20 years working at the United States Center of Immigration Services, and she's received two DHS Secretary's Awards. That's Trina Swanson. That's the experience and credibility that she brings to the table. We can contrast that with her opponent, Pete Stauber, who has just become a lapdog for Donald Trump. He's constantly lying and getting into fights. He's super caustic. He's trying to emulate Tom Emmer online. And what has that delivered for us? Hardly anything for the state of Minnesota. In fact, just always an opportunity for him to vote against funding and then be at the ribbon cutting, celebrating the massive project that he didn't actually support in the first place. He's done that with so many of our major infrastructure projects in the 8th District since he's been in Congress. It's really kind of embarrassing. Looking to sell northern Minnesota to the highest bidder is his goal of late. And he's always trying to figure out how to get in favor of Donald Trump. So Trina Swanson, welcome to the DFL Daily. Congratulations on your endorsement at the CD8 DFL Endorsing Convention. How about you just start by introducing us to folks here on the call and tell us what originally got you interested in running in the first place?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today, Richard, and good morning, everyone. I am thrilled to be here today with that DFL endorsement. So excited. So last year at this time, I was in a career that I absolutely loved, but it became readily apparent that I would be asked to do unethical and even illegal things under this administration, and that was not something I was willing to do. I had a 25-year career as a public servant, and I chose to take a stand and not agree to their dirty tactics and to trying to push visas for people they knew and really circumvent the laws. And so I retired from my career. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I started my own immigration law firm. And I was sitting in Hermantown and I was watching and hearing from people, and they were not being represented. And people were struggling, and they wanted a representative that was actually listening to them, that was prioritizing their needs and not corporate profit. And so I thought, okay, I have all of this incredible experience in national security and foreign policy and in immigration. And I knew how Washington worked and more importantly, how it wasn't working. And I thought, I can do this. I can jump into this race. I can use that experience and we can get Pete Stauber out of office and I can be the representative that CD8 deserves. And so here I am.
Trina, I just want to compliment you. You woke up one day and you realized the direction Donald Trump was taking this country. You made a conscious and very difficult choice to leave a career that you absolutely loved in order to be of better and higher service to the people in your community. I can't think of a more important kind of integrity measurement that we could possibly apply to our potential candidates. You didn't just wake up one day and said, "Oh, maybe I should be in Congress." You actually built a methodical, well-oiled campaign operation over the last year, and you've done everything you can to build the broadest coalition possible in the 8th District, which obviously is a massive, massive congressional district. From your roots in Hermantown to serving our country in Germany and Kenya, you've represented this same values of freedom and public service around the world. What eventually brought you to launching this campaign for Congress? And what was there some very specific directive that you're resisting within the Trump administration itself?
So I was so disturbed with the second Trump 2.0, right? The first one, it was so chaotic. Nobody knew what they were doing, and they didn't cause much damage because it was so chaotic. They came in with Project 2025, and they had a plan, and they instituted it from day one. And it became clear that they were going to weaponize federal agencies against Americans and non-Americans, non-citizens that were here. And I was just not willing to participate in that. And it became clear that we each had to find our own way of fighting back. And people are doing it all over our great state. We've seen it with the Metro surge with ICE. We've seen it with our neighbors coming together now. We've seen it with indivisible groups. People are angry and they're pushing back and fighting back. And my way of fighting back was being able to use all of that experience that I had gained representing our country and use it in this manner in an elected position. And so I am so incredibly proud of what we built. It literally started at Lake Elora at a campfire. And now I have over 400 volunteers from all over the district. I have a great team of full-time staff. I have 3 people working for me that were either fired by Doge from the State Department or chose to leave because they were being asked to do things they didn't agree with. And now we are all coming together to say we can push back, we can do something different, we can give this country the representation it deserves, and we can have a Congress that is willing to stand up to this administration. And we're not seeing Pete Stauber do that in any way. He's just rubber stamping everything that this administration wants, and it's time to stand up to that.
You're running in one of those really large congressional districts, as I mentioned earlier. You're going to represent people from the Northwest Angle to the Iron Range and Grand Rapids, Grand Marais on the lake, over to Brainerd, down to Malacca, Lindstrom, Cambridge, Isani, North Branch, Mora, everywhere in between. Such a massive district. What do you see as the biggest issues affecting folks in their day-to-day lives and coming up in conversations that you're having around the 8th District?
So I just finished a 21 county tour. We hit every single county in April, and we held public listening sessions in all of them. So whoever wanted to join could come and let me know what was on their mind. The common thread that I heard throughout was a few things. One, people want universal health care. People are tired of being afraid of getting medical treatment and opening that bill when it comes. Two is just our affordability crisis. In 2024, I think people voted with their pocketbooks. They were told on day one this administration would lower the cost of all things, and we can see how that turned out. And then three is just the future of our country. Who do we want to be as Americans? Do we care about due process and freedom of speech and our democracy? And Minnesotans do. And they want to get back to having a government that has integrity, that cares about the law, and go back to a place where we can engage with our neighbors. We don't have to have this hateful rhetoric. We don't have to wake up and wonder what was posted on social media overnight. Let's go back to coming together and doing what's good for the greatest number of people here.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete Stauber has absolutely abandoned the people of the 8th District, and he's giving up any fight for the people of northern Minnesota. It's really frustrating to see that. That's obviously why we know it's time to unseat Pete. What are one or two things you want people on this call to know and do in order to help you beat Pete Stauber?
Sure, absolutely. So I think we win this with a ground game. We know Pete Stauber is going to get in mega money, right? He's just been a lackey, and we know that they're going to support his reelection. And so what it's going to take is getting out into all corners of this district and being an extension of my campaign. So sharing my message, my story, who I am, that I come from a place of integrity, and what my priorities are going to be in Congress. And just, every person that can share that with 5 new people every single week, we branch out. And so we get that message out. So please sign up to volunteer on my website if you haven't already. I would be remiss if I didn't mention we do need money. Unfortunately, it's a sandbox that we have to play in. And so any contribution that can be made to the campaign is incredibly valuable. And we're just going to keep continuing meeting people where they are. We need to spread our message, whether that's podcast, radio, newspaper, TV, so that we can reach everyone and help them understand Pete Stauber's actions affect you and your family individually. And we're going to demonstrate how that's a negative way, and that people need new representation. So appreciate people reaching out with any ideas on how we can reach folks. And then we do want to go into the lion's den. So if you can get people together that have voted for Pete in the past, that voted for Trump and are ready for change, we will take those folks. We will welcome them over. So let's have conversations, even the hard ones, and we can leave with an understanding that we need new representation, and I'm that person.
Trina, that's something we did in 2018. We rolled out all these former Eric Paulson voters who talked passionately about why they're going to vote for Dean Phillips and vote for Democrats in that election cycle. And in 2018, that had a huge impact on actually creating space for independents to realize, actually, I want to be with Trina this time and not with Pete Stauber. So let's absolutely do that. I love that strategy, that tactic. It's really important to give them those folks a voice. You've had this long career in public service. You've served your community and you've stood with your community throughout that career. You've walked with integrity, and your actions have been purposeful and meaningful. As you go around this district and as you campaign in 2026, what is one thing bringing you hope in this moment?
Yeah, it's the energy. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me after an event and said, You know what? I wasn't engaged with politics. I was so disgusted. I was disgusted with both sides, and I thought nobody was there to represent me. And then I came and I listened to you, and I have hope again. And I'm ready to fight for somebody that has integrity, that will go in and do what's best for all of us, that won't just push, or making money and filling their wallet while they're in office and voting party line and nothing else, but actually paying attention to this district and what people need here. And so that energy is what gives me energy. And I walk away from those events and it's like, these are my people. These are my neighbors, my family, my friends. This is a place that I grew up and loved dearly and my heart never left. And so hearing that from people and knowing that I'm inspiring them and motivating them to get active again and join us and our fight to get Pete out of office is what gets me up every morning. And I'm just so excited to keep going. And we are going to do this in November. We are going to get him out of office.